Yeah. Okay. So welcome along to the Marketing Roundtable. Fantastic to have you all on this Marketing Madness boat tour today of Facebook groups, Facebook communities. And actually, there's some interesting things afoot at the moment with what's happening in the community space. So I thought it would be a great time to talk about it, particularly if you were on the 5-day challenge roundtable that we did previously. If you didn't see that, we talked very much about Facebook groups within that. And actually, this could be a good time just to send you guys the YouTube channel if you haven't got it already, and do two things really. One, to give you the link to the 5-day challenge training that we did last week, because that will give you there you go, hosting a 5-day challenge. So that will give you a bit more context around this. But the second thing really is just to kind of ask a favor, that we're trying to grow this channel, and if you were so kind and just wanted to subscribe to us, that would make me happy. It would also make my team happy, because it's one of the things that we measure. So do that when you get a chance. You may even want to turn on the little bell that gives you notifications when we upload new stuff. Who would have thought? Anyway, let me move on from that. But that will, one, give you that 5-day challenge thing that works quite well with this Facebook community piece, because we talk about it in there, and then also get people on there. Good to see everybody jumping into the call. Okay, so as we said, we're going to be talking about 5-day challenges. Let me just jump up with the presentation. Okay, and so first half of today, we're going to be talking about that. The second half, we're going to take questions and roundtable it. We are going to ask you by the end of this session, what type of group would you do if you haven't already got one, and what would it be called? And we want to kind of get that interaction working. So hopefully this is going to give you some ideas on what that will be. Remember, as we're coming out to Christmas, projects like setting up a community is a really nice project to be working on over Christmas. People have a bit more time to look at stuff and join stuff and check stuff out. So if this is for you, then maybe it's just a great time to actually start building it if you've got a couple of days on the armchair with a mince pie in your hand and thinking you're getting bored and want to have a little tweak on Facebook. So that's the idea. So that's where we're going. Right. So why is it important? Well, look, this is kind of the data that we're seeing, the decline up until 2019, and it's gone worse since then. I just haven't updated the chart. But ultimately, this is the organic Facebook reach. And these are different tests that people have done. And it's the trend of the reach of a Facebook page, right? Your organic page. So we're talking about Facebook pages, like your company page on Facebook, versus the reach of a group on Facebook page. In fact, there's a really interesting blog by one of the guys at SEO Moz. So they're all about traffic. And he did this little case study. And essentially, he had a page that had 660 likes and a group that had 660 members. And he then put together, basically, it says there, it's a bit of technical jargon, 2 different CIDs in the URL link builder, but basically tracking links. Okay, so he can tell exactly the traffic through each of those links. And he displays a screenshot there from his Google analytics. And essentially the results from this test, from just one post, was that his group got 122 visits to his website by posting this link to his website within his group. 122 visits versus posting a link up on his page which had 8 visits. That's over 15 times the traffic. Now, interestingly, if I posted a link to my website at the moment on my page, which has more likes than this, getting 8 visits would actually be a right result. Like it is that bad, the organic reach of it, versus a group is far better. So it's just showing why the bias is there. And really the question is, why should we not really be that surprised by it? Who wants to take a shot at this? Who wants to kind of answer why shouldn't we be really surprised that a page doesn't have such a good reach from a group? Just unmute yourself and answer. Oh, Claire's waving. Go on, Claire.
Because a page, the aim of a Facebook page for Facebook is for you to buy advertising. So if they're showing your stuff freely, they're not going to make money out of you by selling you advertising.
Exactly. And actually, it's a really interesting concept, because this is where I say in the debate that you see TikTok, everybody's moving to TikTok at the moment. Why is people moving to TikTok? Because they're like, oh, you post up one thing, you get loads and loads of reach and loads of views. Now, the irony is that all of those views and all those reach actually relate to 0 leads from the testing that a lot of our clients are doing at the moment. It's all the stuff we're testing. So although it's like, oh yeah, look at all my views, I say, well, what's the ROI? Where's the inquiries off the back of that? So TikTok's being very clever, and it's using vanity metrics to be able to shift people off to a platform like, oh, look at all my views, versus actually the important thing, which is us to get leads. Now, as a page, and if you're able to send out a promotional item into the feed of someone, you know, your audience's feed, you may get click-throughs. That's exactly the premise of why Facebook ads does really, really well. You know, I've got one of my clients who, in the $1 Million Sprint, he sells marketing services to accountants. He's just started down his Facebook ads journey. He's testing £10 a day, and he's been blown away that he's getting 2 to 3 leads a day of people filling in his scorecard on his accountancy, and they're going on to book meetings with him. And he's I never even realized this would happen. And the point being is there's no difference between the type of stuff that he's sending out ads on via Ads Manager versus the type of stuff he's been posting as his page organically. He just didn't think that his audience was on Facebook because, you know, nobody was seeing his stuff on his page. The point being is that the ads just spike the reach. And so hence why that's the value, and hence why that's a pay to play module, as Claire very eloquently says. The other part to this is that Facebook published, actually back around 2008 time, we did a lead gen summit, a physical big summit in my business when we were called the lead gen summit. And we did a whole session on how Facebook just changed their whole kind of company vision around community, and actually adding community into it. And significantly, this week's a big step for them, because they haven't just created this community thing and been really leading to it on Facebook and rewarding reach because of it. Maybe in a similar way to TikTok rewards its reach with its reels. So once people go on there, Facebook then actually rewarded reach within groups. And so therefore everybody started to create groups. WhatsApp, owned by Facebook, I don't know if anybody have kind of got these invites, but they've just put this little button at the bottom with communities. If you haven't seen this, get your WhatsApp up now and have a look at the bottom. And there's this new button that says communities. And in there, you can then create a community. Oh, look at this. Can feel a round table coming on after this. But it's a new thing, right? It is a thing that they've just launched. And you get invited to these things. You're like, oh, Jesus. And God knows where that goes. God knows where that goes. But clearly another company that's a significant thing for Facebook, WhatsApp, have added community to it. Interesting, right? Cool. So everybody's looking and going, what is this button, this craziness? It's another bloody thing I've got to do. Okay. So imagine me having to present and train this stuff. And God, there's so much to keep up on, right? So it's not really a surprise why Facebook give this reward for it. So why would you want a group? Well, I think the obvious answer is, if you are a business owner and you're looking to try and prospect and get new inquiries, a group of your target audience that you control and own would be very, very useful. You could have all of your target potential prospects in there, and bam, you can start marketing to them. It's why we think if you're running a 5-day challenge, that's great. You pop up a Facebook group, you chuck it into a 5-day challenge, you run the challenge in there. You've now got a group of potential leads that you can go on and sell to. Same with just having a large organic group. You don't want to have, like, I don't know, the railway train appreciation group if you are trying to sell accountancy services just because you like trains. It's not kind of what we're talking about here. We're talking about business application of groups, and it's lead generation that's really going to help you to be able to achieve this. So that's why I think you should have a group. You might also have a group to be able to serve your membership or your clients if you wanted to, some sort of support group. I know software companies have like user groups, etc. That's quite good. So you can almost have a community for your customers and a community for your leads. And we're very much going to be talking about the lead generation side of that today. Okay. So what should you call it? Now, if you are trying to generate inquiries from your members, then we always think about, well, actually name it after the thing that you help them to achieve, right? And so, oh, there, Blue Peter style, there's one I made earlier. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so if you are, let me just get this a bit bigger. So a lot of people will see me if they come onto this call before saying that whenever you consider working on some sort of flagship product or program or selling a service, really you should be thinking about, well, what's the result you get to the client? What's the actual deep result you get for client? Okay, and where are they now? And then there's this lovely wiggly line that takes them through the journey of how they get from where they are now to the result that you give them, right? And whenever you try and do this, you sell the result to them, and then they justify logically through looking at the journey on the way up, and that's what helps the buying decision. You empathize with where they are now, say, I remember when I was there, and I know that to help you, this is the result that you need, and that's the journey you get there. It's kind of classic positioning a service, right? That's the right way to do it. Oh, hello. I shouldn't be drawing like that. Control Z. Okay, let's move that. So when we think about, well, what should we use our Facebook group? So what should we call the thing? And the ultimate piece is we should be calling it the result, because that's what they want. So if you are thinking about, so for example, my Facebook group is called the $1 Million Sprint. Essentially people who want to be able to go to scale their business from some revenue to $1 million in revenue, right? We've got other clients that have who target retailers, and they've got the retail success group because they want people who want to be successful retailers that are in there. You know, if you are running, I was talking about mountaineering earlier. So if you are running a group that you want to be able to get people to go up to Everest Base Camp, you could call it the Everest Adventure Group, or something along those lines. It's the result why people buy that. That's that entices us to go into that group. You know, you could almost be, if you're trying to get startups, become a business coach group, become a speaker, become an author group, you know, the author success group, if you want to get authors that are there and launching. Do you see how you name it after the result? And then people gravitate to that result. And when you show them how they can do that, then you can actually then start to teach them about the journey and why they might want to buy this piece from you to be able to get to the result quicker, faster, better, right? And so hence why you then start to think about talking to people about the result. And so you should call it along those lines. Now, how should a group work? Now, we always say that there's got to be some reason, there's got to be some sort of heartbeat for that group. And how that should work, if I just go back to my doodles, there'll be a few doodles today, I hope you don't mind, is that we're thinking about bringing people in and we want to warm them up over time. So first of all, we want to be able to get them as a lead. And then secondly, we want to be able to warm them up and give them success. So whenever you ask someone to come into a group, you get the ability within a Facebook group to ask 3 questions. They are vital, because if you can get 3 questions, they can be along the lines of, hey, are you, so let's say we're going to be targeting, I don't know, business coaches, right? So you can say, are you a business coach? Yes or no? Okay, yes, I am. Okay. We have a free ebook for business coaching. Would you like a copy? You know, if so, leave your email, right? So you can say, get their email in there. Right, so you can say, to join this group, you know, do this and we'll give you a free ebook as well. So you get that email. That's so vital. And then you can say something like, we help coaches set up their new business. Would you like would you like us to reach out and just give you more information? Yes or no? And the reason why you do that last one is that that's like a temperature check. So that's a check of, are they interested in resolving this pain? Because remember, we're talking about the result. So are they interested in result? Yes or no? Would they want to hear more? So that's temperature check. You still let them in, regardless of what they say for that. This is the qualifier to make sure that they are the right target market. And then this is the information lead generated. Now, the beauty of this in Facebook is when anybody asks to be a member of a group, it will also give you their link to their profile. It will give you their name. It will give you, if you look on their profile, you'll be able to get all that business information. So you can submit them very easily as a lead into your CRM or email list, and bam, you've now created a lead. So any new person joining that group becomes an inquiry that you can then start to market to. Maybe the better way of doing this, by the way, actually, just to think about it, we talk about send them ebook. Say in the group, this is how we do it. This group has a weekly live session that we do, and we send reminders out to people via email to attend that weekly session. What is your email? Now, what that gives you is permission to be able to market them every single week about your weekly moment, your event, which is exactly what we're trying to do. So remember, we talk about this bringing people into the group, but then we want to have some way of keeping the group alive. So having that weekly moment, having that weekly event, we talk about, you know, a Zoom like this could be a weekly moment, or a podcast could be your weekly moment, or a live that you actually do into the group could be your weekly moment. Whatever it is, some sort of thought leadership that you put into that group each week, and that is the kind of the hook, the bait to get their email address. And it's also the reason why the group will stay alive, because you're creating a focal point, a community place every single week. So that is how you deliver content in the group, and the weekly moment helps people to be able to see it. Now, another thing we talk about, so say we do that on a Wednesday. On a Monday, what we say is you do some sort of engagement creator, because you want to make sure the group is waking up to your messages and conversation each week. So maybe run a poll every Monday in the group, maybe ask a question in the group. So for example, in the Everest group, you'll be saying, you know, do you, if you were saying Everest Adventure Explorer group, you'll be saying something like, what's the highest mountain you've ever climbed? That's a great engagement creator, because lots of people answer that, because it's a group full of people that like mountains, and then people love showing off. You know, if you are talking about becoming an author, you know, you will say maybe a yes, no poll saying, are you going to publish a book in 2023? Yes, no. People don't do it, you know, so you can see how this spikes the interaction in the group. And so then when you promote your weekly moment, more people are going to see this and attend this weekly moment. And of course, what do you do at your weekly moment? You know, if you're running a podcast, at the end credits, or if you're doing a live or doing an event, you say to people, hey, if anybody's actually interested in this, then why don't we jump in and have a strategy session, some sort of further sales call, whatever it is, to then discuss how you can go and further help them, right? So what you've gone is by generating leads here and creating a little bit more of kind of thought leadership in here. And then the sales is then the sales session here. So we actually call this awareness, consider, convert. This is kind of the way we do it. So we build awareness by people seeing, oh, there's a group here about becoming an Everest mountaineer. That's cool. Consider is like, oh, wicked. I came along to one of Andy's sessions where he told the story about him climbing to base camp and doing really well. Also, that was amazing. So now I'm warm to you. And then Andy there said at the end, oh, and if you'd like to learn a little bit more about doing this and maybe book your trip next year, book onto this Everest trip with me. And then go on, Andy. And so I'll completely change your business model. He actually teaches people to ride very fast motorbikes, but I'm just using you the example. So then we go to convert, which is come along to that. So can you see how the group is facilitating this by just having a nice way in and a nice way of working? Make sense? Cool. Now let's kind of think about, like, that's how the group should work. One of the things that we talk about is that when people are in the group, we talk about don't sell in the group. The whole point of the group is to generate more awareness and to get people onto your weekly moment. Now, the weekly moment isn't the sales. You're offering another place for them to go to have maybe a one-to-one or a little mini group session for them for you to sell in. You're not actually flogging your stuff in that group. You're not trying to sell into a group because it will just put people off. It's a community, and you're allowing people to be able to have conversations. You're also asking other people not to sell in it, because that's the thing. If you see a group, we've all been in groups where we're just selling, and everybody's trying to sell their stuff. And it's like, buy my stuff. There's no community in there. It's just flogging stuff. Whereas if you tell people there is no selling in this group, all you can do is, promote, maybe show people different bits of value that you'll be able to offer, or ask questions or ask for help. And then your audience will do the same. So that's important. The way you spark the conversation is basically just asking simple questions via direct message and then following people up. So you DM people and you follow them up to discovery calls. Let me just give you an idea of how that would look. So this is a template of kind of a conversation sequence that you might want to use. So we could say, we'll say, hi, Richard, I saw that you joined our group. Welcome aboard. I have a note here saying that you're looking to grow your business. So what services do you offer your clients? You know, and when they answer, say, interesting, do you offer them retainers or have a flagship product? So you're going into kind of a little bit of due diligence qualifying here. And they answer, say, oh, great, cool. And then in a perfect world, where would you want to be 12 months from now, right? And so then they start to talk about 12 months from now. Oh, hello. Oh, hang on. I think yeah, okay, sorry. Ignore that one. We'll come back to that slide that I showed you. And then the last part of it is say, awesome. You know what? I think it'd be great for us to talk more. Would you have time for a 10-minute call so you can learn more about my business and how you achieve that 12-month goal? So we start that conversation about who you are, what you do, and then where do you want to be? Okay, cool. It sounds like we have a good day. And then you give them your calendar link, and then bam, you've booked a lead. So you transition them from DM conversation into lead, and it's that type of sequence that can really help that. Cool. So that's when people join the group. You're reaching out to people when they're interacting. You're hitting them up on the DMs. Promoting the group. So now concepts about promoting the group, and there's a really simple kind of email template here that you could send out to your database. And this is around, hi, how are things? As a fellow retailer, this is for this retail success group. I just want to invite you to a new boutique Facebook group that I've set up to help retailers accelerate out of lockdown and into Christmas and beyond. Every week I'll be hosting a complimentary group Zoom to tackle problems, ask questions, and share success. Example topics will be, and then you can give like 2 or 3 example topics. I'd love you to join. The link is below. Right. So you can see that is just going out to your database, just saying, look, I've got this great group. It will help this, this, and this. You should join. So it's those type of templates that will really help get people along. Just as a quick tip for that DM string that I just talked about, and even that email that I said, is you copy and paste that into a text note on your phone. So then you can go and, when you're kind of surfing through Facebook, you find the right people, you can just copy and paste that chat stuff into the DMs, and it just helps for that speed. It's the kind of stuff that you might do whilst, I always had the analogy of when my wife watches, The Jungle, and it's just awful. I can't be handling that. So I just sit there and kind of just do DMs and stuff on the phone while she's doing it. And it's that moment, it's that waiting room at the doctor's type thing. You got a spare moment, you just think, right, I'll just flick out a few emails. It's that prospecting time, potentially. Cool. Okay, so we got a way. So when you're approaching this, we talk about trying it, nailing it, automating it, and delegating. So TNAD, try it, nail it, automate it, delegate it. So once you've tried it and you've got this working, then you want to try and automate as much of this stuff as possible, and then get someone to actually run this group for you. So one way to be able to do that is we recommend to our clients to just have a very simple form on their website. And so when you get new prospects joining your Facebook group and they're giving their name and their email address and they're answering one of these questions, so this is one of our 3 questions, where is your business, what place are you? Then they can just copy and paste this into this form, press submit, and that will automatically submit them into our email list. The beauty of that is that form then triggers an autoresponder, which is basically a series of 3 emails telling them about what happens in the group, sending them like the free ebook if we promised it, and also then telling them about, say, there's a weekly moment coming up, you should come along to it. And that 3 email steps really helps to then also do a secondary call to action, which is around the strategy session and coming along to a strategy session. So this lead generation stuff should then be plugged into something like this that then triggers that automation. And the nice thing is those emails can be from you because they're all set up as a sequence, but one of your team, so you've got a VA or someone that's helping you, can be just chucking it in there. So all of those email follow-ups will be from you, but them actually managing the people requesting to join your group, messaging those people, filling in the details, can all be done by them. So that's the kind of automated and delegated piece that can really help. Cool. And the final thing is what gets measured gets improved. So once you've got this stuff working, you want to be able to look at reporting targets and management. So we talk about having an RTM dashboard. And so something along this lines, which shows, you know, how many members that you've got and what your targets are, active members and the targets, new group posts, comments, reactions. Why is this important? Well, if you can put this data in, it's all data that you can get from the Facebook panel, but if you can start plugging this into a spreadsheet and looking at what works well and what doesn't, then the beauty of this spreadsheet is that it will tell you if one subject on your weekly moment is doing really well. So say an engagement creator did really well, and then you got a lot of people that came along to your podcast or weekly moment or whatever it was, then the interactions and the data within the group will tell you that. So it starts to show how successful your group's being. And then of course you should also have a sales dashboard. You should also have a bookings onto your strategy session dashboard. So this information will give you the data, and then that data will allow you to see the success, the yield from your efforts from running a Facebook group. So that's kind of the bits that you do once you're really up and running. Wicked. So the question that I said that we'd be asking, what would your group be about? Thoughts, gang? What type of group would you have? Who wants to go first? John.
I've already got a group, but people seem to be posting their wares on there, not actually performing with the group the way they should be. So having these groups, I'm assuming you'd need to make them private, invitation only sort of thing.
No, so you if you invite someone to a group, it bypasses the 3 questions. Right. So you never want to actually use the invite on it, because unless you already know their information, etc., but it just stops them from hitting those 3 questions. So that's an important point. The groups can be public groups, but just as long as you've got the questions. So I think that you have to mark it as private to be able to do the questions, but the group, there's 3 levels, right? There's one level which is like completely like you can't see it in the searches, nobody can see anything, and then there's one level that is kind of you can find the group easily, but they still have to fill in the questions. And then there's one group which you can everybody just gets to jump in and, you know, have a good time, and the admins are, you know, only have slight control over it. So you want to go for the middle one. Now what I would do if I was trying to go and take back control of a group, I would then start to do a big thing about it. I'd do a set of lives to say, hey guys, this is, you know, the new group for 2023. We're going to be doing this in this group. We're going to be running a weekly, you know, live. We're going to be doing this. We're teaching people about how to network better, because I know you're a networking business. And because of that, what we're also going to have is maybe you say we're just going to have one day a month where we do a you know, promote your business Wednesday or whatever it is. And that then has one post and only on that comments. Any other promotional stuff will be removed, but feel free to ask questions about networking or events or business help and support. That's what this group is for. And you just retrain them into that model. Now, the beauty of that type of group is when people join, you'd be like, hey, welcome to the group. You know, what's your email so we can send you invites to our events? And of course, they go onto your email list and you invite them to your events. Yeah,
I'm going to be doing one where we do business tips and advice once a week or something like that, pretty much like you're talking about. So the name is not quite there yet, but yeah, finding this very useful. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, so it could be things like networking success or get more sales from networking. It's those kind of like Bronsil, you know, does exactly what it says on the tin type names that work pretty well. Thoughts, gang? What would people do in terms of their groups? What's people's experiences been of their groups?
You can create awareness. So if you, like us, we offer support. So you could create, I want to get people following our Facebook, social media, etc., just so that we can say that there's a massive outage with Rackspace, as there was at the weekend and still is. If you are experiencing this, then we're sorry. We're doing our best to do something or help you or migrate you or do something. It's not our fault. It's nothing to do with us, but you can create awareness. The only thing that I would see from a service point of view is that if someone's on there saying, oh, I've been trying to get hold of support for the last 24 hours and no one's picking up the effing phone or something along those lines, that could be derogative more than a positive.
Well, that then comes into customer groups. So you've got a client group where you can have a user group of clients, etc., that are using your services. That's definitely a good place to be, because you can train clients to ask in there, and you can be very quick and have a community manager that jumps and stuff, and that shows great, being very attentive to people's needs. So I'd certainly, say customer groups are great. But prospecting groups could be for you, local, businesses of a certain demographic that you really want to target. They could be all clustered in there. So maybe what you're trying to help people to do is to be able to streamline their cloud infrastructure or whatever it is. And so you get people in there that are doing that type of piece. And that could be a good way. So it's about trying to think about what's the difference between a prospecting group and a community group, and that's the important piece. Look, guys, just before we take some further questions, I just want to let you know, so we've got 2 events left this year where we're talking about our strategy sessions, and we're talking about how this sort of stuff could work, and the detail for you, look at where you are now and where you want to be in 12 months. And the beauty of doing these strategy sessions either this Wednesday or next Wednesday, which are the last 2 of this year, is that we are talking about 2023 and your business and where you want to be in December 2023, and how you can get there and what campaigns that we suggest you can run to be able to make that happen. It's completely, value packed, no obligation for anything. It's a small session. It's normally about 3 to 4 people within each session. We've got space on this afternoons and we've got space on next Wednesdays. And so I'd like to invite as many of you in there to actually think about your business and think about growing next year. So just to show you how to quickly do that, it'll take me 2 seconds. Just go onto the $1 Million Sprint website, jump into this link, which is our free strategy session, and click on the link here. And that will take you to our free spot here, which is on our Calendly here. And you'll see that there's only 2 sessions. There you go, the 7th and the 14th. So today and next week. That is it. So jump on those and click in and grab one of those seats now, guys. Because it's a great time to talk about next year and to use my kind of experience of marketing campaigns and growing and packaging up what you actually sell to be able to help you to think about what your next steps will be. So jump onto that now. Cool. Okay, so as you're doing that, I can see David just put into the group there. He says, I have a group offering support for IT professionals, contractors. Works much better than my LinkedIn group, despite LinkedIn being larger. Okay, so David, just is David here? Are you still on the call, David? Where are you?
Yeah, hi there, Richard.
Morning. So just give us a feel for how that, or how you're approaching that group.
It takes a lot of my time, which I sort of am realizing that I shouldn't be over delivering to that group. So I'm trying to stimulate. I just put a poll in the group literally just 2 seconds ago. So trying to stimulate conversation and activity in the group, but not spending, 8 hours a day trying to keep it going and keep it live. So it's getting that balance right for me, but it is a good community. It's been running a couple of years. I do sell into it, but I sort of take the Rob Moore sort of approach that if I provide value, then I can do a sort of softer sale occasionally, and people ask me, and I find that works because even though I think I'm selling in there a couple of times a week, people then come back to me and say, oh, I didn't realize you did that. So I feel it is good to sort of keep restating the offers I have. But yeah, it's a good little community. Yeah, I wish more people were in the Facebook group, because Facebook groups are a bit more dynamic. There's more support in there. The LinkedIn one is a bit flat, but my LinkedIn account manager says that LinkedIn groups are going to improve over the next year or so. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens.
It is interesting. LinkedIn have been saying that, or people who sell LinkedIn services have been saying that for a long time. I haven't actually seen anything from LinkedIn to say that they have any desire to do anything with groups. Strangely, the reason why we completely avoid LinkedIn groups is because the kind of technology that we use to prospect in LinkedIn, you can just, if you're in a group, you can then actually DM automatically everybody in that group. So if I owned a group full of my target audience, and then someone finds their way into that group and wants to go and spam everybody in that group, it's like open, it's an open group that they can go and do it. And so that's not, so I've kept away completely from LinkedIn groups. And also I think, and LinkedIn groups just don't have the same engagement around it than Facebook groups do. They've got all the, obviously the ability for us to do the questions and the automations and those sort of things around it. But the interaction's not there, and the reach isn't there. And it's all about what gets into people's feed. This is what we're talking about at the start. So it's a little bit like a page on Facebook. A LinkedIn group is the same. It's just the poor cousin of an article on LinkedIn, or a live on LinkedIn, or a post on LinkedIn, just gets above the feed and has a bigger weight to it. So it just doesn't get seen. It really doesn't, unfortunately. And hence why, therefore, it's crickets every time you put something out there. So Facebook wise, I'd always say, look, they are in the group there. And I would say, David, I would maybe switch out a few of those sales pieces to actually sell the concept of people coming along to something more of a consideration asset, and then from there spike the call to action. And it just allows you to have a little bit more of a follow-up strategy. So say, for example, people book onto an event, they come to the event, you can then send them some follow-up emails to thank them and give them extra details. If people come to if people register for an event but don't attend event, you can then still follow them up with a replay of whatever you did, and also then call to actions, right? So it just creates a bit more of the ability to give free, but then further prospect afterwards. So it's always worth thinking about that.
Yeah,
cool, good to see you, Dave. So further questions then, gang. So I've got a couple. So we normally finish about 1:15, but I'm happy to stick around for another 5 or so minutes after our kind of 1:45 finish slot. So feel free to fire away. I said, yes, go for it.
Hi, Richard.
Hey,
Hi. Maybe you have mentioned, I just missed, sorry if it is so, but how to handle these 3 questions, because I turned automatic agent off, but still people are surpassing without replying, or I don't see the responses. I don't know what's happening, even though they are essential, something happening.
So are you inviting people to your group?
Yeah.
So as in it's using the invite function?
No, through DM I'm inviting.
You're in, okay, so not actually doing the invite piece.
Mm-hmm.
Then they should all, if they are going to the group and you've got it as a group that has those questions
Mm-hmm.
on, they should all, if some people are doing the questions, then all are doing the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them don't have to, you don't have to fill in the questions. So if your question is they sit there and they haven't given you the answers, they don't have to give you the answers. So you could just get an invite and they just haven't answered any of the questions. Then what we do is that we just make the decision to let them in anyway, then start a DM to say, hey, thanks for coming in. See you missed those questions. Just so you know, we send out invites to our weekly event that's full of loads of value. Watch your email and I'll make sure you get looped into the ones that are going out. Otherwise you won't get the Zoom link. And so you just get them on once they're in the group. But it's better to have them in if they're a good if you check them out and they look like a decent target prospect, and then try and get their email address in the long run, versus just kind of go, no, you can't come in to give me your email.
Okay, thank you. Lovely.
No worries. Good stuff. Claire, yes.
Hi. What are your thoughts on running groups on other platforms like Telegram, Mighty Networks, those kind of Circle, those kind of things that are off Facebook? Because I'm not really a fan of Facebook. I find it busy, to say the least.
Totally understand. So I am I'm a supporter of the idea of different communities, mainly when it comes to the application of a customer group. So for example, when you're talking about your client community, and for example, let's put the $1 Million Sprint community as in my client community. We call it the athletes village, where our athletes, our sprinter, $1 Million Sprinters are. And we're looking at this at the moment, Claire, because what happens is that we're putting out great kind of questions and content and stuff in there that's working. We're getting interaction, but the feedback, you know, as a Facebook user and other users have, is that sometimes you find that you get hit by some other thing that comes up in the feed, and before you know it, you're off spinning off and looking at other stuff when you were trying to watch the replay of a session that we might have done. And so there are great, you know, Mighty Networks is one of them. We're looking at school at the moment that we really like the look of, where it's got the ability to not just have your diary of events, your feed, obviously with all the comments and chat, your courses, all your courses in there, and it has a leaderboard as well, which is really cool. And so that would be quite fun for our community, and it becomes a lockdown place. So that's all the benefits of it. But the downside of it, and which is why with a lead generating group or a 5-day challenge group, this may be a big downside, is that one, you have to do all the legwork to get people in there. So when you're trying to get organic reach through Facebook, which your group does, and it snowballs, so the bigger your group is, the more it will be served to people just organically without you having to do anything by Facebook, and people join. So I have people requesting join all the time that I know that we haven't promoted anything to, but they're just seeing it and thinking, oh, that sounds like a good thing, which is why you name it as the result, right? So that's what we talk about. So you get that organic reach. So you don't get that. So you got to work hard to put new people in there. Plus, it's trying to get people that don't really know you, haven't got any skin in the game, like paid you stuff, to go into Mighty Networks and log in and do stuff. You have to basically email them every time for them to remember to go back there. Versus I'm going onto Facebook just naturally each day, scrolling through and going, oh, there's a new post from that group that I joined a couple of weeks ago. Okay, I'll go check it out. Oh, that sounds interesting. And it's that casual scroller that you're enticing back, that ultimately then goes and books your consideration, which is the event. They turn up to the event and boom, yeah, before you know it, they're properly into your world. And it's that bit that you don't get from Mighty Networks or whatever you use. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
So our conclusion, I think, has been very much a Facebook for lead generating groups, and maybe some other thing that for community stuff, because there's skin in the game and there's a reason for them to go. So it's interesting. But the kind of the final big debating point is that people go, oh, not another bloody thing to log into. And that's that one line rattles around my head when I'm debating this, which is I just don't want to create more things for people to log into. So it's tough. Interesting. Tim.
Oh, hi Richard, how you doing? Apologies, I'm everywhere this morning. But I just wanted to add to that, because I did put in the group there in the chat, but I've paid for a lot of mastermind groups over the years, you know, hundreds up to $10,000, and many of them have tried different groups, certainly Mighty Networks, and all I see is admins. There's one group, chap who earns millions of dollars doing marketing every year, and I know him very, very well. He must post in there along with his admin guy every day, and there's probably one comment a month. To try and get people onto, and that's on Mighty Networks, to try and get people out of Facebook to log into essentially another community just doesn't ever work. And that's not saying it doesn't ever, there's always going to be an exception. But in my experience, you know, and I'm talking about, you know, I'll take the highest example. So I paid $10,000, it was just over $10,000 to be part of an affiliate marketing group. And there was 150 people in this group, and the engagement was unbelievable. There was a live every day. Everyone was, you know, there was at least 50% attendance on the live almost every day. Chat, people asking questions, how you do this, how you do that, how you run ads, how you whatever that is. But the difference in those people who don't even use Facebook go to Facebook just to be part of groups, and they engage in those groups. You get an email when there's a post in a group as well. So the advantage is so much greater. You can run an ad just to get people to join groups, right? So LinkedIn groups, I don't see any point in LinkedIn groups unless there's tons of people who I know basically spam every LinkedIn group going just to try and get anyone to get eyes on it, and there's one like on there. Yet Facebook just seems to be the place with the data at the moment still, and getting people together. There's nowhere else that really. WhatsApp, I think that communities thing that's popped up on mine, and I've sort of had a little play. Everyone has WhatsApp on their phone, so that's possibly a winner. But I think it depends on size, because I think when WhatsApp's groups get too big, if you had a sort of 50-person WhatsApp group, that might be quite cool. But when you start getting 100, 200, 300 people, I turn on my phone and there's 200 messages every time, and you just think, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, it's too much. I did the same. I had to leave the group because I was just saying, this is just ludicrous, guys. I can't even be bothered with it. My son's bloody rugby group with like his load of parents for 8-year-olds. I mean, it's just ludicrous. I just had to get out. And even those little small. So I think WhatsApp communities is going to always have that issue, I think, and I'm very interested to see how that rolls out. Very interested to see how that rolls out. But it is interesting what you're saying, Tim, because I have seen the application of it work, and there's just, do you know what, there's a part. So here's what I would look for based upon Tim's very good assessment there, is that it's about actually how many things you're asking people to log into. So the reason why we're looking at the options we're looking at is that I don't want people to log into my Kajabi to visit my courses, to go for someone else to find the agenda and the diary of what's going on, to have to go log into the Facebook to go to the community, have to look. Do you know what I mean? There's too many things. Whereas if you said the only place that you go for $1 million sprint stuff is here, and everything's in that place, including the community piece, I think that's probably the only application where you'll draw people to it, as opposed to have to push people to it. That I think that's the big point you're making, isn't it, Tim? Is that it's more like the honeypot. People have to want to go there, wake up in the morning and think, oh, I'm going to go check out that, as opposed to on Facebook where they're already there and you're drawing them off whatever they're looking at back into your group, and that's the difference with it.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there is a thing about one place, but one thing that always comes back to my mind as well is, you may have done it. ClickFunnels do the One Funnel Away challenge and other stuff. I don't like mentioning names as such, but
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome to. It's no problem.
They run that challenge, doing that for 30 days. They'll get thousands of people in that challenge, and they used to run the group and the membership, the membership area through ClickFunnels and everything else. Nobody comments or makes these things and really engages in that side of thing. Sometimes if videos say, and there's another marketer, which I'm not going to mention names, doesn't matter, but they have groups and courses, and it says comment below. So people write the comments below, but there's no engagement in that. It's just a process that you go through. And so even ClickFunnels, when they're running these courses and with thousands of people ago, they still go back to the Facebook group, and all of the engagement is within the Facebook, and the engagement in those groups is very often fantastic. Whereas online, there was about 10 comments in the group, and you were talking about a group with like 3,500 people, and there's 10 comments. Yet you go on Facebook, and everyone's posting their links, posting their new pages they've created, posting their, I've done this ad. Why is it coming up rejected or blah blah blah, whatever. But that's where you get the benefit and the value out of a community, right? Where you can ask a question, somebody answers it, not posting it in a. I'm saying Mighty Networks group for the sake of it, but it's just nobody coming back and saying anything at all. And I think when I look at all of those, people like Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels who are spending thousands, hundreds of thousands to get people into those groups to buy their products, if they're using it, there's got to be something in that, because they've tried and tested just about everything else. There's another course I bought earlier this year, which was $1,000 or £1,000, $1,000, and they're part of. They've had to change. They use Circle.
Yeah.
Literally no one commented at all, and they've got 800 people in that group.
That's
Nobody comments. I mean, the odd comment, literally the odd comment yet. And I spoke to the chap who was running it, and I questioned Circle right at the start, and he said, well, look, we're trying to use this and trying to do something different and get people off of the Facebook platform because of blah. But they've now gone back to Facebook, and the engagement again is just back to, I would say, normal, where somebody's asking a question, people are answering it, and that's that. Some groups are just quiet and dead, and people don't.
I think you're right. I mean, this is all part of, this is very much, but if anybody's kind of thinking what Tim's saying, this is very much aligned to what my research has been on this as well, and what I'm hearing in the marketplace as well. And I think that there is a trend to try and get away from this noise that is Facebook, but the irony is that noise is what creates the engagement. So it's a big debate at the moment. It's a very interesting piece. So Tim, that's awesome. Look, just because we've got a couple of minutes before I'm going to close, thank you so much for your input on there. I'm going to go to Sandeep and take his question, but I think that's been a really lovely piece of kind of research and help there, and certainly helped me instead of my thought process. So thanks for that, Tim.
Thank you.
Sandeep.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks, Tim. So I'm actually part of the same debate. I run two groups, one which has 2,100 people or so, and the other which has 23 people. And to convert the debate into a question, how does one actually go about increasing the group size, ensuring the right quality of people? Because, okay, you got the 3 questions and all those filters, but the reason I didn't focus on this group that started with about 15 people and ended with 23 is because those 15 people are part of a workshop, and then we just got them to talk about things, and they gotten maybe another 5-7 people. But after that, it wasn't growing organically, and all that I was doing was investing time in the group, and they were feeling good about it post workshop. The ones who hadn't attended the workshop didn't have as much of context for it, and so there wasn't much to grow it with. And the other one, which grew to 2,000 plus people, started getting spammy because people just found that, okay, there are 1,000 people over here, and I've got to put messages out. So I was becoming a policeman, and that's not what I want to do. So what is the right strategy for growing it and keeping the quality and cohesiveness?
Yeah, look, if you've got a client group and they're paying you, great, then that's great. And this should always be monthly paying you, because otherwise you're supporting something where you're not getting any yield from it. And it's just you're maintaining something forever and a day because they happen to buy a course ages ago. So I'd always have that where people are, if they are paying a monthly or they're an annual subscriber and it finishes for people, if they don't carry on paying, that's why you should carry on maintaining a community. So that's the client group side. But when it comes to your kind of lead generation side, or your community that is non-paying, then you might have to think about a community manager if it works. You might have to think about taking down posts, and also you have that weekly moment, that piece of content that you're pushing out that will help people to see why this group is of service to them and why it's important. Then promoting it, you might want to put together a page on your website. So for example, let me just show you ours. So if what we create is a few things, right? So to grow our site, we've got these links at the top of ours. So one of them is around the $1 Million community, and we have a landing page that talks about our Facebook page. And we also say on here, and I'd love to give you a free bonus, and it's a digital copy of my book if you join the group. And you're also saying in this group, we do all of these things, right? So here, I'll stick that in the chat if anybody wants to go check that out afterwards. And you just use it as a nice template or whatever, feel free to nick it. So there you go. So you got there. Now, also, the other thing you should be thinking about, so here's the landing page for our marketing roundtable. So we talk about, look, join this session here. Scroll down, it will show you all the different upcoming events. But then step 2, join our $1 Million community again. And again, we're promoting the community. So it's all of that kind of siphoning people that are already looking at your stuff and saying, right, now you've done that, come join the group. This is where more stuff like this is. So every time we run an ad, step 1, like on a lead ad on Facebook, might be like download the ebook or whatever. Step 2, now join the group. Or on my email signature, I'll say, okay, great. Now that we've had a conversation, why don't you, subscribe to my YouTube channel and join our Facebook group? Do you know? And it's that wherever, if you're making it front and center, make it known to everybody that is the thing that you're focusing on. And so therefore all roads lead to Rome, right? And so all your roads need to lead to the group. And then from the group, then you need to then move them into the next stage, which is then your convert stage. So strategy session stage, right? Make sense? Wicked. All right, well, on that note, it's 10 o'clock, so I'm definitely going to close. Thank you all for being fabulous, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you either on strategy sessions today or on next week or next Wednesday at 9. So have a good one, gang. And if I don't see you, have a lovely Christmas. Bye now. Bye-bye.